Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show we're talking about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Roswell, New Mexico. A lot of interesting things went down, so we learned, because obviously, there's the whole Wyatt situation, which is really interesting because basically it turns out he can't remember why he did what he did, which is interesting because it's that did seem like that did come out of nowhere. And then he also draws a symbol, which Cam immediately recognizes it being whoa, that's the symbol that's tattooed on Max's back, which is so interesting because this was our first time. I guess this was a plot reason to show it. I wonder, does Michael and Isabel, I should probably say, have one as well? Or is that just Max? Because, I love that Cam kind of pieces this all together and she's trying to get Max to talk about it. It's oh yeah, this tattoo. Oh yeah, Wyatt just happened to draw it. What's up with that? Because she told the significance of her tattoos, which we learn finally who Charlie is. Charlie's her sister. And it seems like her sister was a whistleblower of some sort. Because it seems like she was trying to do the right thing, but Cameron didn't have her back when the time came, and so her sister's locked up, and she blames herself. I guess that's what means it's going to be able to, him being a military dude, he'd have something to do with that, I don't know if it's going to be I don't know whether it's a situation of she's a whistleblower in the sense of a government type of thing, or maybe it was at work, whatever her situation is. That's what it seemed like, Cam was saying about her. So it's what those exact details are, we don't know. It's actually kind of sad because Cameron's oh, this tattoo is a bird and her sister has the other half, and it's supposed to represent them being kind of free caged, uncaged birds who are finally free. But I guess, now the meaning is kind of it's kind of representative of her being free, but a reminder that her sister isn't, and she blames her, and that's why she's going to take Maines up on his offer, because it's she can help her sister because she's been feeling guilty this entire time about it. But the interesting thing is, because let's not forget, it's not just Wyatt that drew the symbol. When she was blacking out, Isabel drew it too. And that's the interesting thing, because Max says, he tried to be oh no, it wasn't anything significant. He might not have been lying when he said that. It might have just been something oh, I legitimately just kept drawing at my notebook. So this might just be bigger than all of them. There might be, because it seemed this might be something that's connected to Isabel, making someone forget something like that. That could be the dark side of her powers or something like that. Or we could be talking about the case is that there is another alien alive in Roswell, because that symbol was in a body found from the ship's crash in 1947. So the question is maybe the alien they found that day, or maybe another one, they might not be the only ones that, are still alive after all this time. Maybe someone else is hidden there. And they found out that this dude was plastering all over the place, that he knew so much about alien stuff, so that's why he had to be killed. I mean, it also seemed like this was a government cover-up and stuff like that. So, well, now that's kind of the interesting twist to it. What if we end up finding out that they weaponized an alien? There's an alien, the one from 1947, maybe that alien never actually died, or remember, because they took a cord or something out of the alien. It looked like it might have been a female alien, so who's to say that wasn't a baby they took out of it, and then over all these years there's been an alien they've had under the control, and they use someone like Wyatt as kind of the fall guy and everything. So what if that's what this is all about? Maybe that's what's happening to Isabel, as someone who has those abilities and stuff like that. Maybe they're tied together. Because what's interesting is because we end up learning from the whole conversation Liz has with Maria's mom that okay, Rosa knew the truth about Isabel. So it's did Isabel was it the truth about her being an alien and stuff that, which is something I thought was going to be potentially the case, but it's we don't know. Because I said, a lot of time is missing in between Michael and Max showing up to find those girls dead, and obviously, Michael showing up to see her killing Rosa. We don't know what happened in between there. They're still, even they know some of it, but even they don't know everything, so that becomes a question of maybe that's what Isabel's blackouts are about. It's not, the fact is that she's the one behind it. She might not have this evil side necessarily. Maybe she does. Maybe it's, I don't know. Because let's not forget, it's interesting because Rosa was getting close to Kyle's dad, because Kyle's dad was trying to help her get clean and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is, maybe they found out, maybe Rosa ended up telling him the truth about you know, because she wanted to tell her dad, but let's not forget who became like a father to her when she couldn't tell her dad the truth. Who she turned to, like who's that person for her? That was Kyle's dad. So she might have told Kyle's dad. That might have led to Maines knowing the truth, and that all ended up unfolding in that situation. And I don't know. This is me just babbling on. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it does kind of make you wonder, like, because there's so much connectivity between all of this that it seems like this could likely be the case, but I could be 100% wrong. So, because it does seem interesting that it's like, is this just PTSD, like her doing that? Like I said, this could have just been manifestations of her powers, but if there is another alien, maybe that's what it is. I mean, because the siblings can sense each other, so who's to say someone else can't hijack that? You know, especially, you know, her being the one, Isabel being the one who can get inside of people's heads. So like with her ability, it probably like kind of leaves her open and vulnerable to someone else getting inside their head or something like that. Who knows? Maybe it's like they actually have a fourth sibling that they don't. There's another sibling that they don't know about, because that person from 1947 could have been like was essentially their mom, or maybe their guardian or their protector. Who knows? Because what's interesting too is that Alex gets a message from Maria's mom too. Because like even through all the stuff that she's saying, it does seem like there is some validity to what she's saying. Because the fact is that she was saying to Alex that his dad essentially wasn't always the way he was. That basically once you touch something from the other side, that darkness kind of stays with you. Which kind of goes like, okay, so maybe that has something to do with Max. Maybe that has something to do with Isabel too. Like, I don't know, because like in Max's case, like the moment he healed Liz, it did something to him. I mean, to be fair, the first time he ever really kind of fully found out what his power was capable of, it was him killing somebody. So maybe that darkness has kind of always been there, and maybe that darkness kind of got awakened when he healed Liz. Like maybe it's kind of like his power absorbs darkness, and he ends up, you know, I don't know. Because it seems like if that was the case, why wouldn't it activate? Like if that darkness was there from him killing that person, so why wasn't it there the entire time? Why did it wait until him trying to bring Liz back to activate? Like I said, not unless the darkness is from her, because he was messing with something that's beyond human, or I mean, even alien control. The fact is he was messing with a different world, and that darkness transferred to him and everything. Kind of interesting, but it also seems like maybe that's what happened to Jesse, you know, Alex's dad too, because Alex, you know, his dad just seemed like he became an asshole out of nowhere. I mean, to be fair, we don't know if he was always like this or not, but it did seem like she was like, he found out some secret, and I guess that was his dad telling him the truth about the aliens and basically the family responsibility and stuff. And I guess kind of being the one who kind of had to shoulder such a weight, it kind of just made him snap, and that's why he's such an asshole to Alex. But maybe there's more to it. Maybe it just tapped into some darkness or something. Because let's not forget, Alex also touched something from another world. That's a piece of the ship. So maybe if you come in contact with the aliens, it does something to you in that regard. Like, maybe there's just certain things between humans and aliens that just doesn't mix right for whatever reason. Because Liz was the first person that Max had ever brought back from the dead. So who knows? We really don't know what that really all entails. It's kind of interesting that all the while this is happening, you know, kind of talk about it. It's like you have the whole Maria situation, which is sad, because it's like the entire time Liz has been so caught up in her situation, she didn't even know about Maria's situation. Her mom, she's taken her to the doctors, but they can't find anything medically wrong with her, even to the point they're like, oh, she must be faking it. So now that makes you think maybe she came in contact with something actual alien, because she obviously keeps referencing Independence Day, but I guess just because her memories are kind of getting all jumbled together, so reality is kind of getting jumbled a little with the movies, yeah, you know, because it's not Alzheimer's, it's not dementia, it's something else, you know. So, and Maria's secretly been dealing with that, and for her, you know, she doesn't want to put her mom in assisted living, because it's just kind of like, if I do that, that means I'm giving up on her. But at the end of the episode, she kind of feels like she probably doesn't have much choice, because it seems like moments her mom has, you know, she seems very lucid, but then others she kind of slips back, and it's a lot for Maria to kind of take care of. She's working so hard to make sure that she, you know, everything kind of stays okay, to pay the bills and everything, to make sure that her mom is okay. And it's just like, that's a lot of responsibility for one person to have, you know. And she's kind of been shouldering that by herself the entire time, because she wants to be the fun person. It's like, yeah, that's what I am, and the last thing I want to do is let my reality kind of like smack us up aside, you know, smack us upside our faces or something, or our heads, you know. So it's, but you know, eventually that's the sad part of reality. It kind of has a way to kind of find its way back in and sinks back in. So it's actually kind of this nice moment at the end that you know, we have Michael there. Like obviously he's just drinking because he's dealing with the whole Isabel thing, which I'll talk about soon enough. But while you know, had Maria kind of doing the same thing too, dealing with her mom's situation. It's like obviously both going through very similar things, just not knowing about it, but kind of being there, you know, Michael being there to kind of comfort her and everything. I thought was kind of neat. It was nice. There is a very complicated situation with all of this too, that, you know, Max can't really do anything against Wyatt because Wyatt will get lawyers involved, and those lawyers will start looking into Max, which he's like, hey, I'm clean, I don't have anything to be worried about. But it's like, oh yeah, but it's not just about you that will be investigated, so will all the people you care about, which includes Liz, and her dad is undocumented. Max is constantly looked the other way. So not only would that end up busting Liz's dad, it would also lead to Max, you know, kind of getting heavy trouble too. They probably, you know, it also would probably involve investigating your family too. So the last thing you want is that as well. So, because it's interesting, because that ties into the story of like how Liz feels about Max too. Because it's like, what's your sense of justice? Because the fact of the matter is, you're going to let your sister roam free all these past 10 years after my sister died at her hand and everything. And the fact is that for Liz, she can't do anything about it, because if she does anything about this situation and says anything, it's going to lead to investigations, and she doesn't want her dad getting mixed up in all of this with his status and everything. But then there's also the other side of things. If Isabel does anything, it's going to be on her, because like, I knew it and I didn't do anything to stop it, so that blood will be on my hand. Because Isabel's going to her, it's like, I don't know why I did it, I'm asking for your forgiveness. But it turns out like I said, the secret, like Rosa knew. Once again, like, was it the secret or was it something else? I'm assuming it's the secret about them being aliens, but we don't know. Because that could just be a thing too. Like I said, if there is another alien, it might be like, the fact is that the frequencies kind of got a little jammed, and basically it did kind of create another personality for Isabel. But once again, I don't know that. I keep just throwing stuff out there. I have no idea. But it's kind of sad, because, you know, because Isabel's kind of getting all depressed and stuff like that, because it's just like, because she doesn't know what to do. She can't, you know, it's like she committed something that she didn't know. She literally spent the past 10 years not knowing this is what she did. Doesn't make it any better, but that's why the guilt's eating her even more, because it's bad enough I did this thing. I don't remember why I did this thing. And also, I've been living in this my entire life, past 10 years, not knowing I did this thing as well. And there's also a complicated thing of Noah, because Noah is just kind of like, he doesn't know what to do, but he feels bad because at the end it's like, oh, like, she was in trouble, I didn't realize what she was going through, and so he wants to be there, he wants to be a better, like, he wants, it's like, you know, he's going to fight to keep his wife and, you know, help, you know, Isabel through anything. But it's like, that's probably going to get complicated, because like, obviously Isabel can't tell him everything about why she's there and everything, just that she's trying to get help and stuff like that. So, because this is Isabel's first time, because she's like, you guys have always made the decisions for me in this regard, so it's time for me to make my own decisions. The fact is that I am dangerous, and she wants to be locked up in, you know, a facility, so it's like, they will lock her up. Like, they're not going to use the serum that Liz made, which is kind of like, whoa, you made a weapon to use against. It's like, obviously, you know, I get, like, you know, for her, it's not like meant to necessarily kill them. It's meant to be a way to nullify their powers, because like, if Isabel's kind of left unchecked, she could hurt more people. So it's like, no, we can't let that happen. And even when it was said and done, Liz did decide, like, you know what, I'm gonna get rid of the serum, because for her, she didn't want it to be something, using her science and what she loves, being science and knowledge, to weaponize something, even if it is to hurt Isabel. She doesn't want to use her work to hurt people, so she was going to get rid of the serum. But for Max, is like, we are dangerous, so the fact of the matter is, you know, I care about you, and so if it comes down to not being able to choose between you protecting you or Isabel, I want you to have a way of protecting yourself. And I think, you know, because it's complicated. Like I said, you know, this entire situation leaves Liz very complicated, because it's like the mixed feelings of like, hey, you're connected to what happened to my sister. the fact of the matter is I can't forgive you for that, but at the same time you're still looking out for me. So it's just because Max admits to himself, it's like when it comes to his own family, like he's always felt like he's had a sense of justice, but when it comes to his family, his justice is very selective in that regard, because for him it's like he'll do anything to protect his family. So that code he has, he will cross it 1,000 times over if it means protecting the people he cares about the most, you know? Obviously, him and Michael have their complicated history, but it's like the whole fact is the reason why they had that feeling, because they were so tight before, was because of this whole Isabel thing. It also gets more complicated because it's like, oh yeah, he also found out that they are the reason why Liz left town and everything, and it's because the reasoning we finally get is because they didn't want to take the chance that Max might break down, because it's like, oh, she's grieving over Rosa, and he'd feel so guilty that he would tell her the truth, you know? So it's all a very, 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 very complicated mess, especially now that Cameron has pointed mains towards Max too, even though that's kind of like her partner and her friend. They had their I think that's the main reason why she wanted to pull away from him, because it'd make it easier to do what she needed to do, especially if it meant protecting someone that she loves. I mean, that's the sad thing. Like, that's what it is in the grand scheme of all of this. Max and Michael trying to protect the person they care about most, Isabel. Cameron's doing the same thing about her sister. You know, Liz is doing that about her sister too, trying to find out the truth about, you know, Rosa, trying to get justice for Rosa, you know? And it's just kind of sad that, like, all these different, you know, routes for trying to get justice and helping the people you care about most kind of just, for whatever reason, just doesn't align. It kind of almost goes against everyone else's attempts to help the people that they care about. You know, that's the sad situation with all of this. But like I also said too, it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with the whole Isabel thing, her being locked up. The fact is, with her powers still being in check, she could easily still break out, especially if she gets inside of people's heads. But that's all what I'm also curious about too. I don't remember if I brought this up earlier in the recording or not, but the whole thing of like, is this the first time Isabel's had blackouts since that time 10 years ago? Is this the first time? Or because like when it happened all those years ago, well, it seemed like it was kind of here and there potentially, but then it seemed like it got worse like when she got older. So, or does it kind of happen all at once? Does like when it happens the first time, does that mean like, oh, like it's going to happen in succession for a while and then disappear? What ultimately made it stop back then? That's the big question. We don't know. There's so much we don't know. Because if this is the first time subsequently that Isabel's had it, which it seems like that might be the case in the past 10 years, then like I said, it might be a repeat of like, it starts off slow, like very like every once in a while, and then it will speed up and become more frequent, potentially. Like I said, if it follows the same cycle as 10 years ago, but we'll have to wait and see. Once again, like I said, it is a complicated mess, and I'm so interested to kind of see and figure this whole thing out, kind of unravel all of it and find out like what's, because like I said, a lot of the secrets have come out, a lot of stuff has been revealed, but there's still so much we still don't know. I mean, especially like, you know, about Max, Michael, and, you know, Isabel's history of like, you know, where, like, you know, obviously where they came from, what their people are all about, like everything that went down in Roswell in 1947 when the original crash happened, like all that is still a huge mystery, along with, like I said, some Rosa secrets too. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this, to kind of, you know, like I said, figure this all out. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.